Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So let's begin a new project. So last year I did Botanical Beauties with the gorgeous Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios. Now if you followed along with the project you will know exactly what we did. We chose a flower per month to stitch onto a large surface. In our case we chose a tablecloth. My tablecloth had already some embroidery from the lady that started it, and then I found the cloth in a thrift store and continued on, and Pansies was the first one to kick off a monthly stitch along that Susanna and I did. So just to recap, we did the lily, the cherry blossoms, hyacinth, daffodil, primrose. Susanna picked one, I picked another, tulip, as we rolled through 12 months worth of stitching. Poppies, rose, fuchsia, black-eyed Susan, crocus, and we're back to the beginning. So that's how I presented the project last time. So I plan to do it again. I'm not sure if Susanna's going to participate. She's got a lot of work on her hands at the moment, so I don't think she will, but you never know. But in the meantime, I'm going to kick it off and we're going to have a slightly different twist on it. Let me move my tripod slightly because it's leaning on the table, and as I wriggle and bump, so will the tripod. So this time I'm going to present my pieces in a book format. So here's some suggestions of what you could do if you decide to join. You'll need a book cover. It does not have to have a spine because you can create that, and there's many ways that you can do that. We'll cover all those details in later videos, but this video is all about the bits and pieces that you'll need to sort of get you going, and I'm hoping we'll do the first layout with the first flower. So if you just want a small piece, nothing too overwhelming, I'd highly recommend the Reader's Digest as a good size book to start with. The spine is fairly decent, but you may need it to be bigger. So maybe in the back of your mind think, if I don't need the spine, it can go and it'll be just the cover. So at this stage, as we complete our work, they will just sit in here, and closer to the end of the project, we will actually assess what our spines are like in the way of width that we need. Because as you can imagine, the bulkier the pieces, the bigger the space you will need within your covers. So here's an example of a Reader's Digest that has been modified into a book to hold stitcheries. This one isn't completed yet. I must get back to it. And it's a bit of a tribute to the gorgeous Jennifer Clouston, who has a distinct style of embroidery. And this was just a spot to keep all my little pieces that I had stitched. So this size, if we want to measure the cover, we'll be doing a similar sort of thing construction wise. So a little Reader's Digest is 5 inches by 7.5. So a lovely size to do a little slow stitch collaged piece. So that's one option. And as I suspected, this is going to get quite chunky in time. So I did do a spine and I think it'll be okay, but I think I will leave, as I said, the spine construction to the end of this series, because I would hate to put all this effort into making a new spine for my book cover and it not be big enough. So it's sort of down the track. And I guess too, you might have a favourite piece that will go on the front. That hasn't happened yet for me, so yeah, we'll just see how we go with spines. So that's one option. Grab yourself a Reader's Digest and you'll be able to use, the outside cover. So that's option one. But I'm not going to do that because I want a little bit more space to stitch in. This is a cover that I got from Italy, Rachel, Roxy Creations, who often sells her books. I've had it for years I bought it back in COVID time when I first found her channel and was doing journals. So I've just had it in the cupboard and I thought, you know what, time to use it. I like it because it's going to be nice and big for me. So this one, if I'm just measuring the cover, is 7.5 inches, whoops, by 11 inches. Perfect. Perfect for what I want. I want my flowers to be a fairly large scale, so I'm going to go for more, you know, a bigger book. The spine is pretty jiggered, but I'm not too worried about it at the moment because it's so beautiful that I might be able to come up with a way to incorporate it in my work. That piece there is not needed, so we'll put that to one side. But we do have a gorgeous little leather spine, so maybe we do a floating spine. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just not worry about it at the moment. So at some stage, I'll clean this out, get rid of all of these papers, and it'll just be somewhere for my stitcheries to sit while we make our way through the project. The project will take a year. There'll be 12 flowers. So as you can imagine, it will, you know, become quite chunky. I'm just going to pause the video because I've just touched the inside of that spine and I can see a bit of dust and grime on my fingers. So before I start touching my work, which is just there, I just want to wash my hands. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So I've removed the papers, given it a gentle wipe. I will probably just adhere these bits and pieces back down. They may get covered in fabric with a stitchery too. Who knows? So that's going to be my cover. And I think it's going to be, you know, plenty big enough for what we need. Now, let me just put that to one side to dry. Some examples of what you can do with your journal. If you've got a book cover that is not, you know, an old, beautiful vintage book, this one is a recipe book. So all I did was cut the spine away when it was time to construct my journal, and using some fabric tabs, I reconnected the front and the back cover. The cover itself was just covered with some fabric, and then a stitchery went on front. So this is actually a Mexican cookbook, which is holding some slow stitch pieces that I did volume maybe 1 with the Roxy girls. So that's a good way to find a book, is an old recipe book. And often you find with recipe books, their size is a little bit more square, which is not a bad thing to consider. 8 by 10 gives you that little bit extra width, which is often handy. So that's one option. And this is another one I did using the old book method. Now this book is in really good condition. I think from memory, where did I get this? I think I found this at a market here in Queensland, like an antique market at Caboolture. So it was really good condition. I didn't need to adjust the spine. I just went straight into it. No, actually this one is from Rachel. That's right. I remembered that I had this beautiful writing on the inside and I toiled with the way that I was going to preserve that. So I had to make my stitching pieces on their very own book block, so to speak, if you want to use the bookmaking term. I made a block and then attached it and then did some flip outs and things like that. So that's another option. If you've got a beautiful spine or you want to stitch into a spine, your book can sit anchored to the back cover. So that's another option we have. This one I've used in the theme of a sampler, Treasured Things, volume, can't remember, Roxy Creations. And it was just a space to put some of the beautiful laces I picked up on a sewing retreat, and they were from a German lady and her daughter who had passed, and her daughter was selling them off. So there's a little bit of stitching in there. Honey Bear, I was trying to decide what colour combinations to do with Honey Bear and her dress. So they were in here, my storyboards, and then we went into the sampler itself as the prompts came through. So that's another option, and it's anchored to the back cover. So if you do pick up a book and it has a very interesting spine, we can also work within those confines, so to speak. Okay, now what else do I need to share with you? The basics. Every prompt will be on the 1st of every month. So 12 months, the first one being today, the 1st of August. So I've got myself some background fabrics, and I just grabbed a French linen tablecloth, tea towel. It's good size. I should be able to get a couple backgrounds out of that. I'll make a bit of a basket with all of these bits and pieces in it. That becomes, I guess, the colour palette for the whole project. That's just a little bit of hemp that was sitting with that, so I thought that'll be nice for a bit of texture in the background. Now, if you've been watching a little while, I've been getting the subscription to the new Tim Holtz fabrics. And when they arrived, I was like, oh, what could I do with them? And I like the fact that they're all in different colour palettes. Now, we've seen these two. Well, these two have arrived, and I haven't yet had a look through them. The subscription is from the Quilters Angels. No, hang on a minute. Let me just double check that. It's really early in the morning, and one is a little sleepy. Let's have a look. Oh my goodness, I tell you. I feel like I'm going to have a sneezing attack. It must be the dust that was in that book. Yeah, the Quilters Angel with the TH. That's the bit that stumps me. So I always seem to forget the Quilters Angels. So the girls have put together a subscription pack that I've been kindly gifted, and I'm really enjoying seeing them, and I'd love to do a project. So I thought, there you go, there's a colour palette straight away for me. Now, those of you in America have been getting these for some time, but we're a little bit slower here in Australia, and we haven't stamps. We haven't really got our hands on them yet. So they're starting to drift out to all the stores. I've spotted them around the place, so a shop near you may have them. Otherwise, reach out to the girls, and they also sell them in yardage and, you know, all sorts of different combinations. So I'm not sure if you can get the subscription now. I would think that that's not available, but just reach out to the girls. They'll soon tell you. So if we're thinking flowers, that is a good green palette. So leaves or just additional colours. Here's a pink palette, which will be handy for my first prompt. So let's have a quick flip through that. Now, if you don't have these, don't stress. The main thing is to find fabrics that suit the colour palette of the flower that you're working with, which I'll be doing. I'll be bringing all sorts of fabrics to the table, but I thought these might be just those random touches of script and interest in backgrounds, and then the flower comes out from there. And I like how it's got a bit of a moody tone to it. So that's why I think they'll be handy, and someone's already put them together for me, so I don't have to think too hard. All I've got to do is match in additional fabrics to suit my flower, which I've done. This flower that we're going to do first is a hydrangea. Now, I'll insert a picture now of this beautiful hydrangea I saw when I was walking the streets of Japan, and that pretty much set me off on the whole idea of doing a volume 2 of Botanical Beauties. So I'll pause the video and we will insert that image now. Aren't they just gorgeous? So the thing I like about hydrangeas is they drift from pinks to purples, and there's even whites and creams now. So I thought what I'd do is, using some of my Japanese fabrics, because that's where I was when I spotted the hydrangea. I thought this is going to be my colour palette, and then I've got these fabrics to dip into to sort of help build up backgrounds and, you know, create interest on the page. So, threads. What I've got here, this is just a little pack I picked up at, what's it called? Like a thrift store, a haberdashery, the Nest. I think it's the Nest. Oh my goodness. Brisbane. When I was down there getting ready to go to Japan, this was a little pack of threads that was sitting there. And I thought, well, there'll be something in there for sure. I like how whoever had it put it together to suit a project. So I've got a good selection of greens, browns, apricots, yellows, reds, pinks, oranges. Yeah, so if I can't find a thread in there, I can always go further afoot. But I like the fact that they're ready to go and I don't have to think. I've also grabbed my little basket here where I put any little pieces of yarn that I've picked up from kits and just round about, or I've wound up something myself and popped it in there. Not sure if I'll need them all or they suit, who knows. So little Bunny, hey little mate, he is going to oversee the thread department. So that's my threads. You can use whatever you want. In the previous Botanical Beauties that I did with Susanna, we had a few little rules. We sketched the image. We then outlined the image with a permanent pen, added paint, and that was a mix of Inktense pencils and gouache, and we then stitched. And it was a bit of a minimal sort of look. It was all about the stitch and the sketch. So I don't think I'm going to go down this track. We'll see how the first one sort of evolves, but I do like the idea of the black sketchy pen look. So I think that might appear in the project, a permanent pen, which of course will start out just as a iron-on friction pen. If I don't like it, I can iron it out. If I do like it, I'd come back with a permanent pen and sketch in whatever I was sort of thinking, whether it be a shadow line to the flowers, it could be the name. Not sure yet. In the last volume, volume 1, I used a stamp to write the word, each little letter stamped on a piece of calico. And that was just stitched into place. So I'll definitely be naming the flower, especially for those who look at my piece and go, what the hell is that flower? At least we can give them a hint. Now, this book I used with Susanna in the first volume. It was really good, really handy. If you don't have it, it's still available. You don't need it. If you Google line drawings of flowers free, heaps and heaps of things will come up. So the hydrangea can be typed into your Google search and up it pops. And it'll just give you, I guess, a hint of the structure of the flower. Now, where was it? Page 74. So some of the flowers I did in the first series may get repeated. Some may be new. This one is new. There's so many flowers out there, I'm sure, you know, we can find some newbies as well as revisit some old ones. This one's going to be very fabric collaged orientated, I think, with stitching. Oh, who knows? We'll just play until we work out what we're doing. Hydrangea. So the beautiful thing about the hydrangea is these great little flowers within the big flower. So that really lends itself to the texture of building up fabrics and trims and laces and things to, you know, build our flower. Their leaves are very generous. So when we represent the leaf of the hydrangea, I think we need to keep in mind that it is, well, look at that, a heart shape. Their stem is very generous as well. So that's something else to consider as we build our piece. All right. So that's the book, if you choose to track it down. Doesn't mean I'm going to use the book every month. So please don't go buying it thinking that I'll be referring to it every month, because that was sort of volume 1. It was just a great resource, and Susanna and I flipped through our copies and picked 6 each. So that's sort of how we put the project together. Now, let's get started. So we need a base. I'm just grabbing my book, and we need to cut ourselves a base. So that's the first thing. And then we can start putting together our piece. Oh, look, we've got a monogram in that bottom corner. Well, we better keep that. I'm just going to do a rough cut, maybe a fraction bigger than the cover, because I like the fabric to hang. Is that going to rip? Yes. No, it's not ripping real well there because of that extra stitching. Yeah, I like the cover of the pieces to hang outside the book cover. So that tea towel, I'll probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8. So that's good. I think I have a second one too. I might use that as my base for all of them if I can find that second one. That's pretty good. I have my trusty container of neutral scraps. Plus I've got that because I'd like to build up the background a little bit. So let's put you away. Still damp, needs to dry. It's a rainy day here, so it's going to take a bit to dry. So there's our piece. Now, I like to have a little bit of wadding under my work, purely because I just like to feel my base has got a little bit of texture to it. Now, it will add bulk to your work, so it's up to you. Your spine will definitely be a decent size by the time you put all of your pieces in. I will get my wadding on the back of this after I finish filming. Otherwise, I've got to jump up and go and find it, and I want to use a scrap, so I will need to go through my scrap basket. But in the meantime, we can sort of start, piecing together our stitchery. Now, let's have a look at this flower. All right. I like how we can see the stem leading up to the head of the flower. So I might take a bit of inspiration from that. So we've got a monogram down here. So maybe, do we go through there? Yeah. This is just to give me a bit of where is the flower and the leaves all going to sit. I think this will be our zone. I don't need to draw the little flowers because they're going to be fabric pieces put together. There will be stitching in there, but all I'm going to draw is the head of the flower, and these little stems holding that head, I think, is something I want to do. So we could do then a leaf coming out here. I got that heart shape about them. And then we need the little stem holding it. Have they got veins? Yeah, they are. I could look at actual photos, but this is enough information. The veins go down, not out. All right, so in here, what are we going to do? I think we might do another leaf. So there's our little stem. It's got that classic heart shape. This is just a guide, somewhere to aim design-wise. Okay, that should do it. And monogram is safe. I don't know, what does that say? Is it an M? Should have had a flower with a M as the start of it. Now the stem itself needs to be quite chunky, so I want to just sketch that just to remind me that there is this strength to the plant. And not forget that. And then that little guy can come off there. That little one can come off there. Okay. It's like they join with a bit of a shape there. I don't know if I'll end up showing that. Remember, this project is not going to be as sketchy detailed as the previous one that we did on the tablecloth. It's going to be a bit more collage fabric, layering and stitch. Okay. All right. So before I get into the flower, I just want to add some texture to the background, like just to help the piece seem a little bit more interesting, of which I will just do running stitch over it. It's just to help build up interest. Just some pieces here and there. Remember, it's all about the flower, so I don't want to go too busy in the background, but you know, I say that and goodness knows what happens. Just put that piece there. What else should we put in? I do like a little bit of lace, so should I reach around and grab my bucket of lace? Of course I should. What have we got? There's a little scrap. I like that. Maybe that goes on the corner. Maybe the word hydrangea goes across there, possibly. I'll just put that down there. So they will be just invisible stitched on for now. And then as I do my stitching side of things, I can add more detail if I, want to. So just a little bit of lace, a little bit of background. Don't overthink it, Corrine. Now let's just have a look through the fabrics for the flower. So we've got these pinks. You will have whatever you've got in the way of tones of pink. Oh, I love those tickets. Love that. And I also want to open up this. These are a selection of linens. So we've got a spot and a little check. And because hydrangeas are a mix of colours, I thought we're just going to mix up our hydrangea colours. So there's only the spot. All right. So flower-wise, got a couple options. We could do individual petals, like that. Let me zoom in, you can't see that. So we could do individual petals that are stitched together, or we could cut them that way. So then we don't have a weak spot in the middle. I'm liking that idea. So I'm just going to cut out a little corner, and we'll just rough cut out some form of petal-like flower. This might be too big, might be perfect, who knows? So I'm just free cutting it. Don't overthink it, guys. This is purely a stylized, I love that word, gets you out of all sorts of trouble, a stylized image. If you want to cut yourself a little paper template, you could, and then go from there. So there we go. I think that looks like a hydrangea flower. definitely. All right, so that's the plan. Now, as for the Tim Holtz fabric, let's do a smaller one. 4 petals is what I've noticed. So we will be able to place a little stitch in these to hold them into position, but I don't want it to be all fabric. I would like, in amongst these little flowers, we play with some stitching, like maybe we could do definitely French knots or colonial knots, but we could easily do weaving, like some of the petals could be woven. Let's grab some pink fabric. Oh, it's double-sided. I thought I had 2 different fabrics. Oh, I tell you. Let's just get some pink. Same thing. Just do a rough sketch of 4 little petals. Couldn't be any simpler. This is very childlike sketching. This little guy. How else could we represent a hydrangea? Look at this fringe here. We better use that somewhere. Let's cut that fringe off. Hey, pussy. Fudgy's been out sitting in the garage at the top of the driveway, watching the world go by. I should have smaller scissors, that would make it a lot easier. So as for how many videos per month you will see for the hydrangea, we'll just take it as we go. You know, I might get it finished in 3 videos and then that's the end of that. I might get it done in 4 videos. Last volume of Botanical Beauties, I did certain stages of the process, like sketch it, add colour was another video, and then stitch it. I don't know how this will go because it's got a slight different twist. It's more of a fabric collaging, slow stitching piece. We'll just roll with it as ideas come to my little brain. Will dictate how long, how many hours of work will go into the piece. So there's the start of my hydrangea flowers. I need 3, so I'm just going to cut. They won't take long, Fudge. Let's just get them. So we'll have 6. So with my fabric choices too, I really like fabric that's got a bit of texture to it, a bit of thickness. So keep that in mind when you're picking your fabrics. Don't always go to just straight cottons. Have a look at different types of fabrics out there. Draw the flower, Corrine, before you cut into there. Let's draw that little guy next. All right. So now we can cut that. I really need smaller scissors. So if you're new to slow stitch and you're wondering, gee, those big scissors are awkward, well, they are. You can get lots of little pointy, sharp little scissors that's perfect for cutting out elements for slow stitch. Now, as for the rest of the flowers, if some of them are drawn and stitched straight onto the background, some of them could be Fudgy Bee. Oh, he's chatty this morning. Some of them could be lacy. I think I would like that because that's definitely my thing. Include some crocheted elements into it. I'd probably have to dig a bit further. I don't think I've got anything close at hand. So maybe I come back in the next video with a few more flower bits. This is really just composition. How do you see your piece coming together? There we go. I might need more flowers, but I think that's a good start. No, it's not even in camera shot. Let me zoom back up now that we've cut them out. So let's go back to that. All right, so we've got the start of something. So let's put them aside. Let's have a little look through these fabrics. I like the idea of adding text. So we either add a piece or we snip a piece out. I love a label. I think we need one of them while we're considering our choices. Admit one. Now, if you don't have these fabrics, don't stress. There's so many fabrics out there. The main thing is your hydrangea, your colour palette, and that probably decides your fabrics. Fudgy, can I just pat the cat for a wee moment? That's it, son. I think we'll use this as just a little pop of colour, words, collaging. I've still got that little piece. Where are we going to put you? Let's just pin it. Doesn't matter. I want to use it. It'll end up somewhere. This little fringy bit. Let's just pin it. Or what we could do is a colour palette. Fudgy. Where we have a paint tester. Well, I like that idea. So where's those grey scrappy bits? Puss, puss. He's been outside. He's telling me something. It's drizzly rain, so maybe now he's up on a table. Maybe the fudge. Gosh. Puss, puss. So what I'm doing here is as I create the hydrangeas, I'm just putting together some little scraps. And we'll do a little mood board on the piece with some of the bits. So even that ticket could be part of that. It would be a bit fun, wouldn't it? Admit one, and there's the... Then I'll just add a little texture. Puss, puss. We'll just pin it there for now. All right, what else can we use? What about... This is beautiful fabric. What if we draw a flower out of these? We could have a couple of these little guys. So remember, this is stylized. So if you're thinking a classic hydrangea, look away. It's really just, I guess, a basic concept. We know our flower. We know the colours that the flower comes in, and then it's just go for it. I think what we'll do video-wise, I will just gather flower ideas, and the next video we'll work on the leaves and the stem. So my homework will be to stitch all these little guys down, all of these little blossoms within our big flower head. That'll give me a moment to think about the rest of the composition too. I sort of like time to, now he's up on this table here walking towards me. So there we go, another little blossom. We can nestle that in there. So they won't be all individually stitched down, they'll be held with knots, French knots and things like that. Let's do another one of those. I think I can get one out of there. And I can get one out of there. Okay, so let's flip it over. Let's draw another couple blossoms. I don't know how long this video has been going. We're just going until we're going. Just picking up the colours on the other side. That's going to sneak a little bit of green into our piece. I wonder if that would make a good little snippet. Yes, it would. That little piece can be part of our, whatever that's going to be up in the top corner. You know, I might end up stitching them down, actually, like that. I like that idea too. We just put some stitches over them to hold them. Let's just toy with that idea for a moment. We'll leave them just sit there. And then this goes back over to here. That could be a tab. Now remember, this is going to, look, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's put my bits there. Remember, this is going into the journal, and if it's the first page, why don't we put that on there as the point of which you turn the page? Oh, I like that. I had some leftover fabric here, so we need to make that just a little bit bigger for something to grab onto. So let's just lay those fabrics together and see what comes of it. Wonder if there's a neutral scrap. Hang on, hold the phone. We're looking for just a bit like that. That can go onto to make it a little bit more substantial. And I'll just have stitches on it. Good way to use these scraps. Do we want to see the green? I'm just thinking about that tiny little bit of, I think so. Might as well use it. Let's just trim that. My tummy's rumbling. Must be breakfast. Yeah. I don't mind that, but we'll just let that percolate a little. No rush. All right, let's get back to what we were doing. We were cutting out some more little flowers, so another set of 3 out of this. So there's a lot happening this month of August. We're planning a camping trip. All things are sorted in the way of a house sitter for the fudge. Pepper and Bandit will be coming with, as well as 2 of the pups from their litter. My mate has those pups. Well, they're now young dogs, so the 4 dogs, mum, dad and the 2 kids. So we're all going to go and camp at a friend of the family's farm. They're beef cattle, and they've got beautiful big farm out near Monto. So they're that classic horse mustering beef cattle property, and their farm is just spectacular. I will definitely be filming and taking you on a bit of a exploration of that beautiful property. There's a lot of history too on the property, which I'll show you more about in a future video. So there's 3 of those. So that's happening in August, and my best mate Marianne is officially retiring. So very exciting. I'm filming this the week prior, like I do. I'm sort of a bit ahead of you guys. And she's within a week. She's got 1 week to go. So I've been sending her lots of videos and links to things that we can do now that she's retired. And as you know, she's the crocheter. She really loves crocheting. So I've been looking at a crocheting cruise that is running out of Brisbane to the South Pacific. So I sent her that link and I wasn't sure if she'd be interested. It's for 2027, so it's a little while away. But the tutor is the lovely Vicky who came to my retreat, and she is a very good crocheter. So yeah, I was like, Marianne, I know the lady running the lessons. I would dearly love to, tag along. I don't know if I'd do the classes because I'm not really into crocheting to that degree, but I know Marianne would love it, and I can take slow stitch. So I think they have a couple hours, a 3-hour lesson every day, the C days. So it's lots of projects. So that would certainly, Marianne would love that. And I can sit outside the door and wait for her and slow stitch. And it'd be lovely to hang with Vicky again. She's just adorable. Anyway, I got sidetracked. So what else can we do for our little flower? I'm thinking we have a look at lace. Is there anything in here that could be cut crochet-wise into a flower? Maybe this is not the right basket to be dipping in. Sort of looking for, here's a doily. Would a doily hold its structure when I cut it down? I think it would. Do we use a trim brought together to create a floral, a little floral something. So if that was into a semicircle, and then again, and then again, and then again for our 4 petals. That's Marianne binging because she's now just got out of bed and seen the crocheting. Oh, I don't mind that. I guess it doesn't have to be 4 because it's so bulky. People aren't going to realise, oh, that's folded in half. Okay. So I could just... I got this, I think, in America, but I don't know. I'm not trying to remember everything anymore. Like, you just can't. I'm going to separate that. And what if we just give the illusion through making a loop that it is a little flower? Yeah, I think that's going to work a treat. Because it's got that shape, I think that'll work. So, yeah, we're going to do that. Where's the needle and thread? Quick, get me a thread. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. Once I figure this little guy, so now we've got a lacy element, a trim or a lace that's being manipulated into some form of resemblance of a hydrangea flower. So don't, I guess, stress that you can't get the 4 petals. I don't think that's an issue. I think if it's loopy, it's sort of going to look like that anyway. That's Marianne. She's excited. Is it all Marianne? Yeah. Oh, we've got potential. We'll see. 2027's a long way away. At least it would be something that the boys could also... Maybe I'll just do 4 loops. The boys could also come along because, they can amuse themselves. So maybe it's on the big Quantum of the Seas, I think, ship, which I went on with Gaz. a couple of years ago now, and it was great. We decided we'd never go back to some of the smaller brands. We'd stay with those really big ships that come and visit us from around the world, because there was just so much to do. And they haven't been on that, our mates, so maybe that's our excuse. All right, this will work. I'm just putting a tiny little stitch in the edge of the lace to just bring it together, and there's 4 bumps on this lace, so I'm just at the moment aiming for the 4, it's got caught, aiming for the 4 little bumps to create a petal-like structure. Yeah, that's going to work. So what I can do now is snip him away. So I could probably seat this little guy on a piece of fabric too, like a base. I've got it all caught up. You know, cut a tiny little circle of felt out and then anchor it on that. That would be one way to get around it, which I might end up doing, but at the moment I'm just putting 4 little stitches in this little guy, ruching it together. Let's not overthink it. Doesn't have to be structurally sound because it's going on an item of clothing. We just need the 4 little petals. Yeah, that's worked out well. So now I'm just putting a few extra stitches in there, hopefully secure it into some structure. And we've got 4 little loops. I'll knot that off with a stitch at the back. So what other way can we make a flower for our hydrangea? So imagine a heap of those made. I might cut it leaving a bit extra thread, and then I've got that handy for you know, securing that little guy in there when we're ready. So we need lots of 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, and snip. So that'll be another flower. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a feeling I'm going to want more of those, so I'm going to do another 6. Because my flower is quite big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just bear with me as I grab out some little morsels here to make future flowers as part of my homework. The background, I think, will be camphor stitched, seed stitched, all of those lovely things. That'll come together in time. And I think once I find my little piece of wadding to go on the back, I'll be really ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just trim that. So there's a few more little flowers. I need a little bowl to put my bits in. So I've got some flowers. I'll leave that there for now. I think we might, oh, there's another lace too. See, that's got a bit of a gathered, that would make a great little flower. Let's have a little look, just to add a different element. That could be easily gathered. It will make a big one, but I think it might be too big for a piece. Yeah, no, leave it, we got enough. Okay, so where are we at? We've got our flowers figured out, but I do want to add some stitched flowers. So let's grab our pen. Now my flower head is going to be a lot bigger than what you already see. I'd say that's the top, but we can come right down here. So let's draw in some of our shape, which will give me opportunity to stitch them. Get some big ones here, maybe some smaller one over here. That'll be a big showstopper, that guy. And then we'll drag those down and start building up our layers. I think the stitched ones on the outside is probably not a bad idea, because I think to do a stitched flower on the inside, it'll all get covered with all of this bulk. So let's take that as what we're going to do. Even just a few on this bottom edge, because at the end of the day, we're collaging. So it's a bit of everything and not much of anything. I think that can come up over that lace. So we've got some random little flowers there. We've got these guys just drifting in and stitched down. So I will need more of those. Having said that, by the time I add, let me zoom in again. By the time I add this little crocheted guy, and I think I cut about 7 of them, they'll be in there. So that centre will become quite thick. So what I might do is just aim for some little embroidered guys up here. And I'll tuck a couple in behind others. So I think that's pretty good. All right. Yeah, I think we've got a bit of a plan. So I'll fill in all through here with more of this. So we probably need, where's our fabric back? I'll zoom back out. I can foresee at least another 2 of the grey ones. So I might just cut another 2. I think we'll get another couple pieces out of this. The other thing we could do to soften the piece is cut the odd petal where we only see 2 petals. I'll just draw it. So you don't need the whole flower. Excuse me. We cut just that, and then once that's cut out, we stitch that in as well to help bulk it up, because there's flowers hidden. Does that make sense? All right, so we've got that. We've got these little guys happening. All right, well, look, I think we've got our composition. We've got our sketch. We've got our background sorted. I do want to put some wadding underneath it, and I'll just use some Quilters batting. I've got a piece here at the end of the table, but it's to do with the Journal of Stitchery Volume 8 project. We don't want to be pilfering from there. I will invisible stitch down all of those pieces. Next video will be stitching some of the flowers. So it'll be a case of going through my threads and finding the right colour. A lot of these are very bright. That one will work. I think we could use him. The fact that he's variegated, we'll have to see. Here's another one. See, they're all too bright. We'll see. We'll get back to that. That's the next video. So maybe in the meantime, have a think about your threads. The leaves will be fabric. We will go and dip into some of these textiles here. So have a think about your greens and have them handy, and we'll collage those in fabric. We'll use some, there was a green here, we'll use some maybe tapestry wool. I've got so much of this tapestry wool from Grandma's, big bins of it, and I need to use it because it's nice and thick. So let's couch down thread like this tapestry wool for our branch, and we can layer it and layer it and layer it and get it quite thick. So I think we'll do that. I think that's a great colour. So we'll leave that to one side for now. So yeah, thank you for joining me. We'll leave it at that. So in this video or week, have a think about your composition, have a think about your little flowers, and also what you're putting in the background to sort of just add a little bit of extra. But remember, the background is not the hero. If I can, I guess, describe what's in my head when I think of the pages, the flower is the hero. So keep that in mind. Keep it fairly neutral with a pop of colour from the flower, I think is the best way to describe it. Anyway, see what you come up with. You're very welcome to share your images on our Facebook group that Tia and Susanna and I have together called Stitched Vintage Treasures. Yeah, throw your pictures up. It'd be lovely to see what you do with the hydrangea. And for the other YouTubers out there that would like to join in, go for it. Love to have you along. It's really fun watching everyone interpret a similar concept into their style and using their favourite techniques. So, yeah, there you go. We're going to be doing Botanical Beauties Volume 2, Stitched Fabric Collaged Flowers, 1 prompt per month. The prompt is at the beginning of each month. All right, guys. See you in the next video. Bye. Yes, I'm back again. I just wanted to touch base concerning the wadding. So when I finished filming and I tidied up my area and got all my bits and pieces into a tidy tray, all my little flowers are sitting over there ready to be, continued on with. I thought what I'd do is cut my wadding. Now, you don't have to do this, but I do like my slow stitch pieces to have a bit of texture to them. I guess thickness to them is probably a better word than texture, especially when I start thread painting some of the flower. You need to stabilize your work, and if it's a flimsy piece of fabric with maybe 2 or 3 other pieces of fabric, it's still probably not enough, but it's up to you. You might want to do very fine embroidery with DMC stranded cottons. Well, then you may not need this, but if you're going to have a play with wool and all sorts of random threads, I'd probably recommend you do this on day 1. So what I've done is I've cut out 11 and 1 extra here, which I've already pinned to the back of my work. Now, being that I've got a little tab, I thought, well, you know what? I'll take the opportunity to actually reinforce that while cutting the base. That won't happen every time because, as you can see, there's no future tabs planned. I can just add a piece. Like, that was purely because, I could. It's very early construction side of things. And the other thing I just wanted to show you, at the beginning of the video, I was talking about your spine, and don't stress about the spine. Just focus on finding your book cover, whether it be a recipe book or an old vintage book or whatever. You might make it a soft cover and use 2 of your pieces to become the book cover without the structure of, cardboard in between. We'll get to that down the track. But what I did want to show you is just my wadding without any embroidery. You can see how chunky this is going to be. So imagine each one of these pieces is going to have a flower slow stitched, collaged on a page. So already I can see this spine is just not going to work. So I just wanted to show you that. Don't worry about your spine. It's irrelevant. It's more about the size of your pieces, and we will get into our stitching, and I don't know, maybe the 8th month, the 9th month, maybe even the 12th month, who knows, whenever I feel like it. And I feel like I've got a bit of a feel for the thickness of spine we're going to need. we'll work, you know, on the spine. Maybe it'll be a simple flower that won't take much work, and then the rest of that month we start working on this. It's upside down, Corrine, already, but that's all good. Yeah, so I'm just going to let that sit as it is. I'm not going to worry about it. It's just somewhere to put my pieces so that my project is, you know, got a home. All right, I will now say goodbye and catch you all in that next video. Bye.